Welcome to The Midpoint, conversations with the extraordinary people building the American innovation economy from the inside out. I'm Patrick McKenna, founder of One America Works. Welcome to The Midpoint. I'm Patrick McKenna, founder of One America Works and partner at Comeback Capital. Today, we have Ana Kraft, founder and CEO of Xena Workwear. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So I'm particularly excited about this conversation because you're very unique in so many ways. You're a blend of e-commerce and you're also manufacturing your products in the US. And so this is, you're covering a lot of really fascinating ground here. And you're also very specific on the market that you're serving. So maybe I'll just pass it over to you just to kick us off with what is Xena Workwear? What do you do? Why are you doing it?
Yeah. So at Xena Workwear, we design and manufacture stylish steel-toed boots for women in STEM and the trades. I typically start off by saying I never plan to start a safety shoe business. I don't have a background in fashion design, but I worked in engineering for many years, but was so frustrated to wear clunky, bulky, uncomfortable work boots on the manufacturing floor because part of my job required me leading massive multi-million-dollar planning sessions with teams of 10 to 20 engineers, typically being the only woman in the room. And as soon as those meetings wrapped up, one of the guys would typically say, all right, let's go out on the shop floor to check on that project that we just discussed. And I had to hold up the whole room and say, wait, I have to run back to my desk, put on my work boots. I had multiple pair under my desk and none of them fit. And that's when I discovered the whole shrink it and pink it approach that so many manufacturers apply, and wanted to design a product that women would actually want to wear instead of the scaled down pink men's boot version.
So fascinating. So you actually designed a completely new product from scratch based on your use case and your experience, not just like taking somebody else's thing and just changing the color.
Yeah. And it was really helpful. Basically, I had to learn a ton about American safety standards, but it really helped me to come outside the industry and design something completely new, pushing the boundaries of design. So the first model that we released is this gravity boot. It's a walk-through boot that women can wear in the office and out on the shop floor. It's kind of the perfect boot to transition between board meetings and job sites.
And is that over time,
it has a zipper. It has a zipper on the side. So it features a steel toe cap, a slip-resisting rubber outsole. The heel height is based on Canadian CSA standards because the US doesn't have any. And after we launched this first product, feedback from women all over the US was so amazing. And they requested additional models, of course, a lower heel, more ankle coverage, electric hazard certification, static dissipative models. Like there are a ton of other safety features that we have expanded to over time.
That's amazing. So now you started the company in Milwaukee. Now, why did you start it in Milwaukee? Were you living there? Like, what was it about Milwaukee that got you on this journey?
Yeah, y'all can probably hear an accent. I'm short answers. I'm from Germany. Longer answers. I was born in Kazakhstan, lived in Germany the most part of my life. During my engineering program, came to Milwaukee for my internship and to Wisconsin, Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Although there was a little Wisconsin accent there, so you're picking up some local. Yeah, I felt that.
Oh, really? Yeah, my accent is hard to detect because I lived in so many different countries. And yeah, Milwaukee is the city where I moved to from Germany, and I fell in love with the Midwest, loved the manufacturing industry. That's where I worked. And when I decided to start a company, I basically felt Milwaukee was a great spot to do that. Yeah, a few months ago, we decided to move to Detroit because the majority of our team is located here. And every time we all work remotely, that works so smoothly. But every time we wanted to work on a strategic plan, we would drive back and forth all the time. And after a while, decided to make the move to Detroit.
And how's that going?
It's been an adjustment. Milwaukee is so compact, and I love Milwaukee. It's a hidden gem. More people should visit it. and we finally dedicated time to actually explore Detroit. It's so cool. It has so many hidden gems, a ton um, of course, history and industry. So many like automotive companies are located here. We already started working with a few really
It
cool
seems like it's a
partners
really
on.
good brand fit for
Oh yeah,
Xena for sure. Yeah, I've spent some
yeah.
time there, and I just love some of the like the rebuilt infrastructure, some of the industrial buildings that become offices
Hmm.
and condos, and it's just like really integrating the vibe. Are you
Yeah,
experiencing some of that?
it has a great character. Like there are so many cool buildings that used to be abandoned now being remodeled, like with
Yeah.
amazing woodwork, and like the mix of this industrial look with the modern design is really cool.
So every entrepreneur kind of has that like aha moment where they feel like, oh shoot, I'm actually onto something. As you knock your head against the wall for a long time, and then something happens. And it sounds like you understood the problem, you lived it, you designed it, you launched it. It was 2019-ish, right? When you
Hmm.
got going. So you've been at it for going on 4 years now. Was there a moment where you said, "Wow, like we're onto something"? And what was that like?
I think the moment was when we decided to launch the company. I finally decided to quit my job. We got accepted into an accelerator program,
Mhm.
which is part of Generator in Milwaukee, the smaller version, which is G Beta. And we decided to launch with just one product to see if there's a product market fit. I thought maybe I'm just crazy and I'm the only one who wants better options for safety shoes. But then immediately, like just launching with pre-orders, we got so much amazing feedback from all over the US, and women started ordering shoes. So that was the moment when we thought, okay, we have something here, and I think that this is a huge opportunity.
So it was pretty early on that you got the kind of market feedback that you're onto something.
Yeah, that was really early. And G Beta is the program where it's the pre-seed, yeah, a pre-revenues accelerator where they don't take any equity, but also don't give you any funding. And it's very rare that you raise funding that quickly. So 2 months after launching the company, we were able to raise a round of funding with an amazing lead investor from Chicago.
Now, it's been a while ago, but I actually am a small investor in that first round through Comeback.
That's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
comeback. Yeah, I met Scott. That was part of G Beta. Met Scott in Milwaukee, and that was such an interesting conversation because the first minute he's like, "I'm not interested. Like, I don't even want to talk to you." And then I think a
Shoes, oh
minute or
my
two
gosh.
later,
Yeah.
he's like, "How about we grab dinner and talk a little bit more about this?" And then yeah, the rest is history. He's awesome. So thank you so much for being part of our first round. That's awesome.
Well, it has been a real pleasure to watch the progress. And you mentioned Generator and G Beta and Scott specifically. One thing that we talk a lot about is kind of like your trust network, like the network of people that you meet along the way. You build these relationships that help you succeed. Is there somebody or along the way a mentor or somebody who believed in you that has helped kind of elevate, either gave you the confidence to start the business or has given you some really key insights or support as you've been building it out?
While I was um, building the company, my friend Sarah Frasick in Milwaukee, she has been the one who helped me,
Hmm.
who really believed in the whole concept and helped me create a mission, vision for the company, values, connected me to a graphic designer to actually come up with the logo. So that I think that was really helpful to understand the true value we would provide. But then after we launched the company, we had so many incredible investors who supported us along the way. Ezra Gelston from Starting Line in Chicago. Scott Shane has been really helpful. Um, Paul Hedrick from Tecovas, the co-founder of Tecovas. Like
Right.
he runs this amazing cowboy boot brand and
I live in Austin. I'm
awesome
very
manufacturers.
familiar with
Oh,
Tecovas.
okay,
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
So
It's a
every
great
time I have like
company.
a quality assurance or product, he runs a product-based company. Every time I have a question about that, I ping him. So he's been really amazing.
So it sounds like you would agree that having like a network of experienced, founders and also capital partners around you has been critical for success.
For sure, yeah. And everyone has a different background, and I think in the beginning I was a little bit too too afraid to ask for help, but now I just know who to ask what kind of questions. So yeah, you should tap into your network and
Is there
leverage
like
that.
this, like, another thing, like you're doing e-commerce, you're doing like a women's clothing brand in a technical industry. So you have a lot of things that aren't typical, right? A lot of things that are outside of like this is the way you build a startup and a tech company. Do you have some lessons, some like for other entrepreneurs, maybe even other women entrepreneurs or, or brand or product entrepreneurs? Do you have like your list of like 3 pieces of advice that you would give new founders who are thinking about starting a business like yours?
Okay, let me think about 3. I think the most important one is to overcome the fear of failure. I think
Mm.
in the beginning, I remember the time when we launched the company, everyone probably imagines that you have a big party and open a bottle of champagne and celebrate. I was terrified to send out the press release and see my picture in like at least the local publications.
Mhm.
And after reading a little bit more about the whole topic of fear of failure, I discovered Sarah Blakely's journey, the founder of Spanx, and I
Yeah, it's
really
a
liked her
very, very
story.
inspiring story. She's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's amazing, and she told the story that from an early age, her dad always encouraged her to fail. Like every time she came back from school, he asked her what she has failed at, and if she didn't have anything, he was kind of disappointed. And she said, "Oh my God, Dad, I tried this new thing, but I was terrible at it." It showed that he would high five her and say, like, "Okay, at least you got outside your comfort zone." And
Mm.
her definition of failure is not the outcome, failure is not trying. So every time have I want to try a new thing and get scared, I remind myself about that quote. Um, let's see. A second lesson learned is you have to, in the beginning, with our team, we would say, "Oh my God, this next new thing that we're gonna try is a game changer. Will be a game changer." And over time, you learn that most of these things are not game changers, but you should not give up on um, experimenting and thinking outside the box, come up with solutions. And then then once we find something that works, we put more money behind it. So that has been our approach since the beginning. Test it on a smaller scale, and if it's working, put more money behind it. So making
Yeah,
smaller
so there are no silver
small
bullets. It's
bets.
just it's
Yeah.
test and grind. Yeah.
Yeah. And lastly, um let's see. Uh I think maybe one book I can recommend, it would be Traction. We operate on an EOS model.
Mm.
Setting Instead of setting annual goals, it's really helpful for us to set quarterly goals because you can make better progress and like track them on a quarterly basis versus setting annual goals that you forget about
Mm.
a few months in. So that has been a really good tool for us to operate and make really good progress.
Pretty good. Got three solid pieces of advice. That's excellent. Last year you raised your most recent round, and I guess it was kind of towards the beginning of the year. But what advice can you share, or experience can you share about raising funds? I mean, this is the biggest challenge for companies that are kind of based outside of Silicon Valley, maybe outside of New York and Silicon Valley, is raising money. How did that go, and what did you learn from that experience that you might apply to your next round?
Yeah, I think one thing every founder needs to be comfortable with is hearing the word no over and over again. I think that's
Mm.
not a new thing. Everyone knows that about that already. And especially in my case, raising funding as a woman, woman is often a little bit more challenging. I was already used to being the only woman in manufacturing, but then when I started the company and would walk into a room for a pitch, I kind of saw a similar picture, seeing men in the room, um, who in many cases are not that excited about women's steel-toed boots. But you just you should not give up. You should
Mhm.
be very comfortable with the word no. Use every pitch as an opportunity to learn and refine your deck to communicate the problem you're solving, solution, market opportunity. And yeah, I think over time you will find the perfect partners who will support you on this journey. And yeah, and I think another lesson I learned last year was when you're trying to raise a smaller round, it takes so much momentum to meet the right people. And then I think my goal was to raise 300 to 500,000. But then once we had so much interest, there were so many more angel investors who wanted to participate, and we just decided to bring them on board, because the amount of effort it takes in the beginning to schedule those meetings and pitches, you may as well make it a slightly bigger round. But that's just for me personally.
That's a good problem to have, by the way, that you have an oversubscribed round. So maybe there was a real nice strategy there of like having scarcity, build momentum, and then you had some FOMO and you got to expand the round and get more capital in the business. So well played, really nicely done.
Yeah, that was not the goal, but I guess that's how it worked out. There was definitely some FOMO after we said, like, we're actually done, we're not pitching anymore, but a few people who were kind of thinking
Although I
about
do think that is
investing.
actually an important lesson to whether you're raising 1 million or 2 million or 5 million or 300,000 of oversubscribing is better than, say you're raising. I actually had this experience where you set out to raise $1 million and you raise 700,000. It feels like you had a failed round. But if you are setting out to raise 500,000, you raise 700,000, you actually oversubscribed. Same amount of money, different narrative, different momentum. And so it does seem like there's a deeper insight in the point you're making. Like, it takes just as much time, but you built a lot of momentum with your investors around the scarcity. And maybe it sounds like you did a really nice job of explaining why you only needed $350,000 to achieve your next level of goals, which is like capital
Yeah,
efficient.
yeah, that's true. We're incredibly capital efficient. And like sometimes throwing more money at it is not the solution. I told all of our investors we need to open a new sales channel first before we would raise a bigger round. And like, especially so many product-based businesses can probably relate to this. Digital marketing is now much more challenging than it
Yeah.
used to be a few years ago. And just throwing more money into Facebook and Instagram advertising is not the solution. So we did not need more money at that point. So we focused last year on opening a new B2B sales channel and discovered that the distributor route makes a ton of sense. So we'll be focused on that. And hopefully by the end of the year, once we achieve our more aggressive revenue goal, we'll be ready to raise the next round.
So the investor catnip of capital efficient, like self-awareness around where you're going to invest the capital and then showing the success. I can definitely see why you are oversubscribed. And I'm actually definitely looking forward to this next round. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. We'll keep you posted. No, we
So
have big goals.
one of the things that we like to talk about is, superpower is kind of a goofy way to say it, but like in some ways, like every entrepreneur has got something that they just do so well, better than others. I mean, do you see what is your superpower? What's the thing that you feel like is the key to your success?
To me personally, I think if you describe every successful company has two important roles, the visionary and integrator role. I'm the crazy visionary who can see the success down the road and like paint the big picture. And I love working on big problems, but I'm really bad at executing the small steps. And I have one of my team members is the integrator who helps evaluate, who helps sort all of my crazy ideas and says, okay, let's focus on these few that we can actually execute this year, and then helps with the implementation of that. So I would say I'm good at building a good team, painting the big picture, getting everyone excited about the long-term mission and vision of the company. But I need the right people. I need to hire for my weaknesses to make it happen.
There's a lot of superpowers in there, visionary and the humility to know where your weaknesses are. So that's as many times as much a superpower as anything. That's exciting. So the other last thing I'd love to kind of finish on is, like, your business better than anybody. The industry where you're at with e-commerce and this kind of technical products. Use some of that vision that you were just talking about as for your superpower and kind of paint a picture for us, like looking forward, like 5 years, some trends, some things that you see in the future that maybe we're not seeing today that you really think are going to come true.
Yeah, for Xena, we want to become the best workwear brand for women in STEM and the trades and potentially expand even beyond that. We're working on a new product for a completely new industry where we get a ton of orders from. I think in the future, what will be interesting is to work with social media influencers and sometimes even micro influencers and include them in the process of product design, and include them in the process of building a brand authentically. I think that's really fun. It's so rewarding to work with an amazing team and also work closely with women who are wearing our products and send us the amazing feedback, and be able to share their stories as well. And also in the long run, it will probably take more than 5 years, inspire the next generation of girls to enter STEM and trades careers that are incredibly fascinating and also well paid.
Love that. Sounds like you're quite bullish on women in STEM.
For sure. Yeah. It's we can do so much better. There are around 30% of women in STEM right now. We're talking about 10% of women in professional construction roles. We can do so much better in trades. There are only 2 to 3% of women in skilled trades. That we love to support nonprofits that help empower women who are already working in these fields and also show more role models to inspire the next generation.
Well, I have to say, after our short conversation today, you are one of those inspiring leaders. So thank you for your leadership around women in STEM and entrepreneurship and, keeping it real in Milwaukee and Detroit, because I love both of those cities and I love to see your
Yeah.
success. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Patrick. This was so much fun.